Welcome back to The Source. You know, I used to think our show was the toughest, baddest show on the Sun News Network. Alas, I have lost that title to my friend Michael Coren, whose show The Arena debuted this week. How's the show doing? I watch it. I love it. It's peppy. I feel like I got to get my game up if I'm going to keep my loyal viewers.
I've been fired. I've been let go of the show. Well, no, it's doing extremely well, but you know, there's always that at the beginning. You've got all the attention and so on. So, but
you had huge numbers that first night. Your 7 o'clock slot had 84,000 viewers. I happen to know. That is
you happen to know that, do you?
That is a lot. Of viewers.
We all actually have more than that because your show and mine, we're watched on the internet a lot as well, and there are numbers that don't register. You can probably double that.
It was great. I mean, boom, good interviews. You've been doing it now 3 days.
Yeah.
Have you found your rhythm?
You know, it's hard work, and I don't actually like hard work, but it is hard work.
I don't believe that.
But I've never had so much fun. I mean, the support here from people and being able to do professionally interviews around the world with people.
Well, that's the thing. You've reached far and wide with your interviews. I mean,
Denmark, and I mean, next week we have Philippe Carsenti from Paris. He's the man who exposed the lies about the Palestinian boy being shot and the propaganda that led to Daniel Pearl being decapitated and so on. But the people at the station, we were chatting about this, they're so supportive of what we do. People have been silenced for years. We're giving a credibility to, not because they are on the edge. They're not. They're actually quite mainstream. But people in establishment circles decide you're not going to be heard. Well, nonsense. We're going to hear them.
You know what? That's what I love about this whole channel. It's not part of the consensus media. Yeah. Some people say the phrase mainstream media. I don't even say that because it gives them, it says that they're normal, we're abnormal. I call it the consensus media. There's only one point of view allowed. I like being a free speech, Nick. I like talking about political correct stuff. You've got a calling card that I think is really strong. You talk about, you know, I'm gonna say a swear word here in Canadian TV, Christians. You know, you talk about Christians in a way that in official company, oh, ew, ew. What are you, some sort of Sarah Palin lover? Sarah Palin lover.
You know, do that again.
Well, no, you know, if you're at a dinner party, you know, I like it. People start bitching about things and say, I wish George Bush would run again. Ooh, now I like having fun being the guy everybody's mad at, and secretly half the guys come up to me and say, yeah, I'm with you. Christianity is the same authority. I'm a Jew, but I am so supportive of Christianity because I see it as a bulwark against so many troubles, and I see it as really the folks who are doing the heavy lifting and keeping our culture strong. And I was particularly taken by Pope John Paul II. I love how he treated Jews, also calling them our older brothers. Enough talk from me. I want you to talk about a subject of Christians around the world and how they are being treated, especially, for example, in Arabia. Do you want to start talking about that sheik we were mentioning before?
Well, Egypt, for example, because when the so-called Arab Spring was initiated, well, Tunisia, I suppose, but it came to Egypt, and everyone said how wonderful this would be. No one is going to say Mubarak was a wonderful man, but believe me, there are far worse, waiting in the wings to take over. But Egypt, Christians are probably 10% of the population. It's probably more. It's officially 10%, but it's rather like Jews in the former Soviet Union. They didn't want to say they were. There actually are more. It may be as high as 15%. They've been loyal citizens of that country. People must realize this straight away. Islam is a newcomer to the region.
Egypt used to be a Christian country.
Egypt was a Christian country with a Jewish and a pagan minority. In the 7th and 8th century, Arabic cavalry, they weren't Egyptian. Egyptians aren't Arabs or origin. They came into the country, and it wasn't, oh, Islam, would you like, oh, I'd love to be a Muslim. Yes, I mean, not the CBC, PBS, please, I want to be a Muslim. They were forcibly converted. Now, today, there's still this wonderful Christian minority. Nasser, actually, was quite supportive of them.
Nasser, okay.
Yeah,
sure.
General Nasser. I mean, he was a bad man in many ways, but he didn't persecute Christians. Saddam Hussein didn't actually persecute Christians. He persecuted everybody. But in Egypt, Christians are treated and have been for 40 years
terribly. Tell me about the sheikh today. Now, let's bring the story up to 2011.
This is a man who has said, he's been honest. You've got to give him this. He has said, I believe in Sharia law. And I believe you cannot be friendly with a Christian.
Now, here's a picture of him now. What's his role? Who is this fella?
This is part of, I think, Egyptian Islamic Jihad. There are various groups. The names mean they don't mean very much. Don't paint him as being a fringe extremist. He speaks for many in the Islamic world, and his interpretation of Sharia is actually quite an authentic and accurate one. Can a Muslim actually befriend a Christian? Well, there are many, many Muslims who say, no, I mean, maybe tolerate, pay a tax, don't rebuild your church, don't have full equality, don't serve in the military, don't lead the country, don't speak out, but we'll let you live, which is why, and this is how sad it is, you have Christians in Egypt who are willing to support the Muslim Brotherhood even though it's anti-Christian and oppressive, because it's not as bad as the alternative, which is another Islamic organization that will actually kill Christians. You do not belong in this country.
It's either bad or worse over there. Let's move on to, tell me about Captain America.
Oh, well,
what's this story?
Well, I don't know if it's not much of a story, really, but it was a phrase from the Bible phrase, from Scripture.
Yeah.
And I think this is common to most of the West now, and it was given to people. Where does it come from?
What phrase?
I can't remember. I think it was from Corinthians, wasn't it? It was a Scripture phrase, and it was a fairly general one, but Captain America, everyone got it wrong. Hardly anybody knew it was the Bible. The first thing that came to their minds was a comic book hero.
Which phrase? Tell me the phrase.
I don't even know the phrase, exactly what it was now. It was from Corinthians, and it was something about reliance and strength. But it was that we now have virtual illiteracy when it comes to Scripture in the Western world. I mean, it's very sad that whether you're a Christian or not, you don't have to be. What gave us so much of our foundation and our culture, Bible, New Testament, we don't know anymore.
You know, I mean, so many phrases that are part of our language. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. That's from the Bible. We don't know. Who reads the Bible? Who reads the Bible anymore?
It's bad enough people not reading Shakespeare, but just when I was at university, there weren't that many Christian academics, but the people who were teaching us said, unless you have an understanding of the New Testament, you don't understand the evolution of language and the English that we claim to use to express ourselves.
Well, and it was an amazing time in the United Kingdom where both Shakespeare and the King James Version, I mean, that was, language exploded, the English language exploded, and so many of the phrases that we use today that we think are newfangled, including the word newfangled. That was a Shakespearean word.
You're really good on this, aren't you?
I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to keep up with you, my UK expert friend. We only have time for one more story, and yeah, I'm going to ask Ricky to remind me. It's the billboards. It's the billboards about saying there is no God. Big billboards. What do you make of those? You know the billboards I'm talking about?
Yeah,
there it is.
I don't mind. People have a perfect right to have billboards saying there is no God. Here's the problem. When the other side want to respond, not always, but frequently they're told you can't. We saw this on the abortion debate as well. You can have pro-abortion posters, but if you oppose it, then no, that might disturb people. If you have the money to buy from a private company or a public company some sort of ad, as long as it's not too graphic or grotesque, you should be able to, within reason. If it doesn't provoke hatred, it's within the law. But over and over again, groups that are Christian, that are pro-life, that maybe have reservations about same-sex marriage, are told, no, that might offend people. Well, this offends people too. I'm offended by it. I'm a big boy. I'm not going to ban it.
Michael Coren hosts the Arena every day at 7 p.m. Eastern, right? What time is it on in the West?
Well, I suppose it depends where you are in the West, doesn't it?
That's right.
Depends on the time difference.
Well, you know what? It's on at 5 Mountain. Is your show repeated later on the day?
Yeah, the repeat time, though, is, I think, 2 in the morning.
Well, in Vancouver, that's 11 p.m. That's just when people are going out to have a little...
In Vancouver?
In Vancouver, yeah.
I wonder how popular I'll be in Vancouver.
Well, you know what? A man speaking the truth against the whole world, that's a majority. Michael, thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Hey, folks, don't...